Hey guys, how is it going? Back here with SLC Live, coaster number 3, part 4.
Yeah, part 4, coaster number 3.
How does that work out?
It does. That's our MO.
All right. I wonder if I turned on the outdoor light that says that we're on air. Because this is not our normal recording time. Oh, wait, we don't actually normally record. What do? We normally stream live.
Do it live, yeah, where people can talk to us.
Well, we're going to try to set it up and do it this recorded way. Why? Because we can.
Yeah.
So that we can get you out the content for that last coaster on our little hiatus here that we have going on. So, Denny, coaster number 3.
Coaster number 3.
I see you brought me drinking water.
Yes, I brought you drinking water today. Almost full.
Oh, perfect.
I hope there's enough for you.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to go through our little list again. So, this is number 3.
Yep.
Number 3 right here. It looks about like the other one that we did, only the leaf is different and it's got 2 foldovers on it. So we're going to start here. I'm going to set my wing dividers for my border and mark that. Then I'm going to cut this border before I do anything else. But before I do that, I'm going to strop my swivel knife.
How's our overhead camera looking there for you? Kind of out of the shot there?
No, I think it's
okay.
I think it's okay.
Good.
Okay. When I strop my knife, I always try to wipe it off because it gets those little metal filings. They're just minute, but they're enough to turn they'll turn the leather gray. Make gray spots on it.
Yeah.
And you can get those off, with oxalic acid, but if you don't get them on there, you don't have to get them off.
Let's see, if I keep that little thing up there, then from my controlling device over here, I'll be able to control the cameras and sit with you.
You have a controlling device?
Yeah, it's my phone.
All right.
About the only way I can keep anything under control.
Is your phone?
Yeah.
All right, we've got the border scribed and cut. Now I'm going to trace the pattern on here. Yes, I did bring it. Actually, I guess you brought it.
Or it was just here when we got here. While you trace, I'm going to turn this camera down just a smidge. There we go. A little bit bright there. I wonder once you get done tracing, are you going to be working right there when you're kind of working on your tooling stuff?
Yeah.
Okay,
much.
I'm going to move the table while you got your pencil off the
Okay.
thing. Now you have to scoot your chair up.
You're right.
All right. Go ahead.
Okay. Now, there again, I want to tell you guys about the flow of this pattern. Everything on this flower wants to flow towards the exact center of the flower. Right there. And I generally draw my pattern, bevel my pattern, do all my tool work in the same order. I start with the flower, and then the flower stem, then the leaves, and any other features that I have. Then I'll end up with the little chicken necks. Okay, I got the flower and the flower stem. Now I'm going to do this leaf. This leaf, the difference between this leaf and the other leaf is it actually has some what do you call these?
I don't. Some wibbly wobblies.
Wibbly wobblies on it. And the
scalloped edges.
Scalloped edges. Yes,
oh, okay.
That's the word I was looking for. It wouldn't come to me. Sorry.
Yeah. I'm glad I could find it for you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, now I've got the leaf and the leaf stem. Now this is what I call a fold over right here.
When you trace your pattern, do you always start with tracing the flower?
Yes, and that's what I was saying. I always try to do it in the same order. I always use not necessarily a flower. There might not be a flower in a pattern that you're doing, but you want to pick out the most prominent features And that's what you want to do first, because you want to be sure and get those in there nicely.
Speaking of wibbly wobbles, what happened on that line there?
It wibbly wobbled.
Yeah, that's okay. We'll
That's
cut it.
okay, because when you cut it, you want to cut it the way it needs to be.
Yeah, cut it the way cut it the way it needs to be. I like that fold over there.
Yeah,
It's a nice looking fold.
Foldovers are nice. I think they're stylish.
That's what I've always thought about you.
That I was stylish.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I've always considered myself pretty darn stylish.
Up on the times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when we were talking about the flow, everything on the vine flows towards the center of the vine, which continues to go down and away from you. So you've got to keep that in mind when you're.
I was looking at one of those leather working groups, and people will post a picture of things that they got going on, and then they'll go and they will talk about what they messed up on it, or what went wrong with it. And so they'll talk about like a backwards vine, a vine that was going the wrong direction, or was like opposite of the flow. So it is important, and people do notice it.
I did a guitar strap for a guy in Nashville, a prominent.
Hank Williams?
No.
Not that prominent?
No, his name was David Frizzell, actually. But I was trying to make an impression, and I drew out this really intricate floral pattern on this strap. And after I drew it, I noticed on the very last flower, the flow of that flower was going backwards.
Oh.
So I scrapped it.
The whole thing?
I still have it at home. I have it. I ought to bring it in one of
Yeah.
these days and show you what I mean. But yeah, it just, and in reality, I probably didn't need to scrap it because no one would have noticed it but me. But by golly, I noticed it, and I didn't want to leave it like that. Because that's something that, you know, you were saying people were telling about the things that they did wrong, and that's the first thing you do when you show someone something that seems like is say, see that? I did that wrong. I messed that all up.
And they would have never known it.
Yeah.
Other people will post and they're like, hey, I want to show you some of the mistakes that I've made on my work. But they'll show it and nobody, I was like, I can't pick it out. You can't pick it out, can't pick it out. And it's like, well, you just know the little mistake that you made. And so.
Yeah. Most of the time, if you won't mention it, most people won't know it.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got entered in an international show and you've got a mistake there, they'll probably pick that out. You know, a set of judges that know what they're doing,
Mm-hmm.
you know, can go through something and pick it out.
So we're just lightly setting that flower center.
Yeah, I just said it lightly. I didn't, because that's not the final time that I'm going to do it.
Yep.
Okay. Now I'm going to start cutting the pattern, because I've done number 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, which is number 1 is wet and inscribe the border. Number 2 is cut the border with a swivel knife. Number 3 is trace the pattern. Number 4 is lightly set the flower center. That's what I just did.
Well, while you get ready to, now you're going to bevel?
Number 5 is cut the pattern with a swivel knife.
Oh.
I haven't cut the pattern yet.
I see.
But
I don't need to switch lenses then. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm going to do, is cut this pattern. And everybody says, how close do you get to your other lines when you cut? And we've gone over this 2 or 3 times already in this series of videos, but the main thing is don't overcut. You're better off ending up a little bit short than you are to overcut.
I saw you were very careful with your words there. Felt like you were going to say undercut at some point, but then you don't want to undercut because that's also a boo-boo.
Right. But we've gone over that too, you know. I mean, this is the 4th in a series of 4, and we've gone over how to hold your swivel knife, how to cut with your swivel knife, and how to use all these tools. But this is repetitive, so by now you should hopefully be become accustomed to what each tool does.
Well, and we'll be able to link these all in a playlist. So if it's not in a playlist yet when you're watching it or you go back and you don't know where to find it, the video titles should all be pretty close to the same, and it'll just be part 1, part 2, part 3, and part 4. And then you'll also have the coaster number that we did.
Okay, if you'll notice, I cut the flower first, which
Okay.
is the same way that I traced the pattern. And I've cut the flower stem, which is the same way that I traced the pattern. Now I'm going to do the leaf.
That'd be going along the lines of cutting your prominent figures or prominent pieces first?
Yes, because the flower is the most prominent, in my mind it is
Right.
anyway. And the leaf is next. And after that, I would say those foldovers. And the only thing that's left are the chicken necks. There's the leaf, and here's the leaf stem.
Fading away on your cut there.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that.
Sorry.
Well, that's okay. That's okay, because you were paying attention.
I'm not. You know what we should have done for this one? Since I've been here for how many tooling classes, I should have tried to do one.
You should have. You should have.
We were trying to make this short and sweet, though.
Okay. Now I've done my leaf and my leaf stem. Now I'm going to do these foldovers. This foldover I want to look really round, so I'm going to make sure I accentuate that when I cut that. If you will notice, see how round this edge is right here?
Oh, nice cut.
There we go.
What do you think of that little snowstorm that we had the other day? Yesterday.
It was really cute. It was really cute, and it stayed around longer than I thought it was going to. It's still here.
Yeah. It was probably one of the prettier snowstorms that we've had.
Yeah.
Up in Joplin, though, I think they got like 5 or 6 inches, something like that. Not Joplin. Jeff City.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, you know, snow is good. Everybody...
Adds a little nitrate to the grass and the
Yes,
ground.
exactly. Nitrogen is pretty important as far as our vegetation goes.
Speaking of vegetation and foldovers.
Speaking of that.
Nice segue there, Denny.
Yeah.
You're getting to be an old hand at this. And I didn't mean old in any sort of gray hair fashion.
That's all right.
Oh, okay. Was it taken that way?
Too.
Oh, man.
All right. Now I'm just filling in all these chicken necks. And I like to go around the outside of the flower first, and then I'll go to the outside of the pattern. But there again, none of that really matters. That's just the way that I do it, and it's the way that I can keep track of myself. And I'm hard to keep track of.
That is for sure. I've been looking for you to start doing this video for a couple minutes before we got going here. You and the little lady were probably still having lunch, though, when I came to look for you.
Most likely. And today is my wedding anniversary, by the way.
Oh, well, happy anniversary.
Yes. Thank you.
You got to have a little bit longer lunch then.
Yeah.
Did you bring any bugs home for her to eat?
No.
No?
No, she furnishes her own bugs.
I prefer to dig my own bugs.
I think I've got 1 or 2 more cuts here.
What do you think about if you were trying to learn to draw, Sheridan? If you, instead of drawing a flower, because maybe you're struggling with drawing a flower, you just draw a circle at first and do it in pencil, and then you're able to draw your lines kind of away from it, and just teaching yourself how to draw.
That's the way you
in
do
circles.
it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, that's it in a nutshell. The floral Sheridan floral is a series of circles that
Mhm.
are all connected. They all intertwine with each other, and they flow from one to another. And the flower is not the. It's always the main focal point of each
Yeah.
circle, but the circle itself is the main structure of the whole pattern, because you might have 7 different circles in
Right.
there. You might have 7 different flowers. I don't like to make all the same flowers. So most of the time I will have 7 different flowers,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but that's not the point. It's how you connect them and how you make them flow together.
I'm going to loosen this up here for you.
Thank you, because I'm done with it anyway.
No, you're not.
Oh, I'm not?
You're going to use that to mark your backgrounds.
Oh, correct. Correct. Thank you so much for reminding me of that.
Yeah. We've talked about it in the other 3, so we might as well do it in this one.
I marked the background so you can tell which side of the line to bevel on. I mean, that's the main reason that I'm marking this background now. You always bevel on the background side of a line. Never bevel on the other side of the line. If it's got background, that's always the side that bevels.
Yeah. So let's see, I'm holding the tool here. I don't know how well you can see it there, but this would be the side that goes up against your feature, and then your background is that way. So
Yes.
the background will be pointing that way.
Yeah, the sloped part is actually the bevel.
Yeah, or the checkered part.
Yeah,
Well, we can say that on
part.
this one since it's a checkered.
Yeah. You might have a smooth beveler, and then that wouldn't be the case, but still the sloped part or the checkered part is always the bevel.
Yeah, I know I'm holding it way up there, but it's because I'm getting a good view of it. Do you need that?
I need that.
Alrighty.
Because I'm getting ready to start. Okay, I've done number 5. Now I'm going to do step number 6, which is to bevel the pattern, starting with the border. Always do your border first. And why, you might ask?
Why, Denny?
Because you're trying to make the border act like a frame for this picture that you're doing. That's the only way I can describe it. It's a picture that you're doing. And the border is an actual frame, and you want everything to look like it's underneath or behind that frame. Am I okay?
You're very good. Where are you at? Where you are at.
Okay.
I just got that lens on there, so now you should see where you're at. I think I can see pretty good there.
And you guys, when you're beveling, don't worry if you can't walk your beveler yet. That's okay. That'll come in time. The thing you want to remember on your beveler is to hold it straight up and down, not tip forward or backwards or sideways in either direction. Straight up and down. The minute you start to tip it one way or another, you'll start leaving little tracks. And if you leave tracks, just go back over and bevel back over it again,
Yeah.
and you can fade those out.
I mean, we're zoomed in here pretty close, and you can see some of it. You're only going over what about, as you hit it the next time, maybe moving it a third of the tool width.
Yeah, a 1/16 of an inch probably. You know, and a lot of people, they get impatient. They want to get the beveling done, so they'll move it at a half or almost a full tool length, and you will leave a big track that way. Don't get in a hurry on this stuff, you guys. Just take your time. The main thing is do a good job, not a fast job. When you get to where you're trying to make money at this, then you can try to speed things up. But the speed will come with time anyway.
Yeah, I think we've talked before, like that power beveler.
Yeah.
The pneumatic tool or whatever, so you don't have to do the hammering.
Yeah. There's all sorts of tools and shortcut ways to do things that people have come up with. The biggest part of them are kind of a fad.
Yeah.
You know, people will use them for a while and then they'll realize this is the traditional way to do things.
Gimmicks and shortcuts. So how do you decide which pedal to start on?
Okay, that's a good question. This line here goes all the way from flower center back to flower center.
Yeah.
Correct?
It's fully on top then?
It's fully on top. So I'm going to do it first. Then this one starts against this pedal.
Okay.
And goes all the way around to center. This one does the same thing, so I'll do it next.
Oh,
now this one,
it looks like you might.
This one goes from here and ends up against this pedal.
So it's the furthest one back.
It's the last one that I'll do. I'm going to go back over and do this one.
Yeah, when you were going to, I said you were gonna skip that one and then come back to it. I would have been right.
You would have been. You can't always do that, but I like to do that because it will keep you from having to re-bevel sections of the line that you've already done. Because if you bevel past the line that's already been beveled.
Look at that, I can see the end of your maul there. That's probably a good way to even teach somebody when they're drawing the patterns is even that little technique right there is going to help you when you draw.
Exactly. It will. It will. You know, all that stuff.
Or if you use somebody else's pattern, figuring out which one they want to be in the back.
Right. The thing an up-and-coming tooler needs to figure out how to do is figure out what each line is, what part of the pattern that line is.
Yeah.
You know, because it's not just a line, it's a part of this pattern. Oh, thank you.
That help you get a little more light on the subject?
That helped me a lot.
And now you gotta...
Notice I'm beveling backwards because I left some little tracks there.
You forgot to skip your flower, though.
No, I didn't.
Oh, no, you didn't.
No, I didn't.
All right, sorry. Forgive me.
You're forgiven.
All right. I forgot to plug that light in.
Okay, now I'm going to skip this line because it ends up over here. So I'm going to do this one first.
Yeah.
And these little inside curves on the petals of this flower can be challenging, especially with this size beveler. If I was doing this over in my shop and not in this novice class, I would probably switch to a smaller beveler to do these inside curves. And if I was in the advanced class, I would use a different tool yet. But we've already done that, so you all need to go back to the advanced video and see.
You think I could can I be your dead weight?
Yeah. You are anyway. Oh, that's dead weight, not dead beat.
Yeah. Look how, oh, sorry about that. That's the thing with the actual dead weight. It doesn't accidentally move your bag. Or your bag doesn't accidentally just start moving.
Okay, our flower is beveled.
Very nice.
Okay, now then, let me pick out my... Oh, there it is.
What were you looking for?
My flower stem. I want to do the flower stem next. Oh, am I out of the picture?
I need to find a piece of tape I can put
Okay, now I've got the flower stem. Now let's do our leaf. And this leaf with all these little scallops on it is going to be probably the most challenging to bevel. The leaf we did on Wednesday didn't have any scallops at all.
On part 3?
Yes. Still okay there?
Yep.
Straighten out my leather a little bit. When your leather starts to curl up and not lay flat on your piece of granite or your surface, you need to straighten it out some, because you won't be able to tool it as well.
Makes it a little harder to tool.
Yeah. Okay, now I'm going to do this leaf stem. There again, I'm going to fade this bevel out the same way I faded out my cut.
Very nice.
All right.
Hopefully they can hear that difference as you...
Yeah. Now let's go to our foldovers. Now I want to round this off really nice, just like I cut it.
You still like the size of this beveler for that curve there?
Yeah, for that curve.
Yeah.
The tighter the curve, the smaller the beveler. That is preferable. I can still get this done with this size beveler, but it's bordering on being too big.
Yeah.
You know, when you get into the more advanced techniques, there are tools other than just a regular beveler to use on an area like that. But
Okay.
But you can get the job done with just this regular beveler.
Use the tools that you got.
That's right.
Make them work for what you're doing.
And actually, you're better off learning how to do something, you know, at sort of a disadvantage like this anyway, because it will make it, when you figure out different and easier ways to do it, it's just a breeze. But you also have a basic knowledge of what you're trying to do.
Right. That's what most of my knowledge is. Basic.
Basic. Mine too. I've been very lucky. I've gotten to work with several really fine toolers, but I've never really taken lessons from anyone. So I still consider myself fairly self-taught. But if you guys will just start looking at other people's tooling and how they've done stuff, that will help. If you can study it and figure out what they've done to achieve whatever it is that you like, maybe you can figure out how to do it.
That camera keeps on flipping over and focusing on your mallet. Your mallet action. Just the very end of it gets in there and it just changes its focus to it. Just makes me laugh.
Me too. I'm just laughing.
Yeah, on the inside.
Yeah.
You are LOLing. You're laughing on the inside. That's too many letters to try to figure out. You're opposite of LOLing. LIQ, laughing inside quietly.
Yeah. Or LMO.
LMO.
LMAO.
LMAO. Man. Denny coming out.
Took me a while to figure out how to spell that.
Yeah. Understandable.
We're drawing down to the line here.
Heard from Abigail earlier. She said she was riding in the back of a car. Hopefully she got in it willingly. I didn't. Maybe I should have asked that.
The trunk or the back seat?
I didn't ask her that. Maybe I should have asked her that. Now I'm making myself concerned that I should ask more questions. Did you get in the car willingly? Wonder if when we get done with these, do you have all the ones that we did in the videos?
Yeah, they're up there in that box on my table.
And we haven't finished them. Maybe the last one we can just finish all 4 of them.
Yeah.
I have a good video idea for that.
So, do you know when they're all coming back from Dallas?
I think they're coming back Sunday. Because I think we'll have a dinner on Saturday. And then maybe Sunday, a little bit there, and then come back. Maybe. I don't know. And then they'll probably all rest up. And then they'll come back maybe actually to the store on Monday. Or on Tuesday. Maybe they'll rest on Monday and then come back on Tuesday.
Yeah. Okay, we're all beveled.
I'm like a mushroom.
You're like a mushroom. Mm-hmm. How's that?
Well, I can't say the rest of it. They keep me in the dark and...
Okay. Never mind, I get it. All right.
Let's see what that looks like overhead. There we go. We got our beveling done.
All the beveling is done. Next step is our backgrounder. And hopefully you all remember how the backgrounder works. It's I like the leather to be fairly dry when I background because I get a more crisp impression. And you want to be pretty definite about it.
Definitely tell the difference the way that you hit this tool compared to your beveler. We're not really walking it anymore. We're moving it to overlap it since it is a matte backgrounder.
Exactly. Sometimes in a larger area I can kind of walk my backgrounder a little bit, but
yeah,
you want to be careful with the backgrounder because if you overshoot and end up on top of one of your features, you know, it's always going to be like that. So
you don't have a leather bloater to bloat it back out?
A bloater?
Yeah, I don't
know. No, I don't.
Whoops. Dang.
I did that on purpose, you guys.
To show you what not to do.
Yeah, to show you.
Don't do that with your background. You make sure you have a firm grasp on it.
Well, and hit it on top instead of
Hit it on the top instead of on the side. One, if you hit it on top of the tool instead of on the side, you have less chance of hitting yourself.
True. True.
You'll bleed on your project less if you actually hit the tool instead of yourself.
And this is where you really bring out the crispness of your pattern.
Where you can really accentuate that relief that you have caused with your beveling. That's why you cut it with a swivel knife, to give that leather somewhere to mush down at. To get it to set down in there instead of just mush.
Right.
Because if you didn't cut this with a knife about, a third to halfway through, then it's just kind of like, if you're pushing plastic, like if you have a plastic balloon or whatever, and it just kind of, the air moves to another pocket.
Right. Yeah.
Your leather's just going to move to another little pocket. I mean, it'll probably mush down in some places and raise up in places you don't want it to.
Well, thing is, you want to bevel every line you cut, and you want to background every area that's background. I mean, sometimes there's an area that's kind of small, and you say, oh, that's insignificant. I'm not even going to background that. Well, in the long run, you will wish you did.
Have you ever done a background where you just kind of spoon the background down? Like a smooth...
I've done a lot of areas when I didn't use a background tool at all.
Yeah.
Just use your Pear shader and all your other tools and tool your features, and then your background is fairly explanatory that way.
It's just kind of plain.
Yeah, it's just plain. You can do so many different things. There are exceptions to every rule that you can come up with.
When doing it this way with this matte background, and whenever we do go to finish in the next video, that antique, whether it be gel or paste, is going to hang in this background just a little bit more because it does have that texture in it.
Right. Yeah, and that's a valid point. It's not all the tooling. A lot of it is in your finish work, as far as the end look of your project. You can tool it very, very nicely, but if you don't finish it out well, you still aren't going to have much of a project. People that are doing stuff, and I've done the same thing myself, you get to a part and you say, well, that doesn't matter. I'm not going to pay much attention to that, or I'm not even going to do that there. But in reality, it all matters. It just depends on how good a job you want to do. Okay, we're backgrounded. Next step will be our Pear shader. And I'm going to put a little more moisture in the leather for that.
After you do this, do you need to let it sit and dry just a little bit more?
I'm going to let the moisture actually penetrate the leather before I do anything. But I'm not going to get it too awful wet to begin with. I'm just trying to wet the surface back up. Okay, now I'm going to use this Pear shader, and remember the Pear shader is a tool that you don't hit straight up and down. You always tip the Pear shader.
Yeah, I wonder if we can see that tool like we saw kind of.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let me hold it up there a little bit. Oh, where's the camera? There you go. Using a checked one still, and it's pear. It's called a Pear shader because it's a pear shape, and you use it whenever you're using it. You're not using it like this.
Right. You don't hit it straight up and down because you don't want to make the impression of the whole tool.
Either
just
tip
one
this
end
way
of it.
or tip that way?
Right.
Depending on what area you are in or
Yeah.
what?
The size of the area that you're in.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, it's because it's got a big end and a small end. And on these flower lobes, or these flower petal lobes, I'm going to use the big end. And I'm going to start, let me do one.
Okay. Over here on this, there you are.
You can see what I did. I started a little ways away from the outside of that petal, and I just headed towards that flower center. If you will look, if I followed through with that tool, I would be right dead center of that flower.
Yep, and it's in the shape of kind of what the tool is, just elongated.
Yeah.
Looks like as you got to the center of it, you kind of faded it back the other way.
Yeah.
Well, you didn't though. It just tapping it lighter.
Yeah. Yeah, that's every tool that you use. You know, if you're walking your tool, when you get to the end of a line, you need to fade that out.
Same way as you did with a swivel knife, you're fading your hammer and you're tapping out.
That is the finesse that you're trying to impart. But if you'll notice the sound when I'm hitting this, I start out pretty aggressive, and then I end up very light. But I'm following the shape of the petal, headed directly towards that flower center every time. Now, see, this petal, it's got a real arc to it, so I'm going to make my pear shader do that same thing.
Kind of turn around the corner.
Yeah. You might not start heading towards that flower center, but when you end up, you always want it to head towards the flower center. Okay, the flower is done. Now let's go to our leaf. And if you will remember or watch next time, the other leaf that we did, I actually pinched the edge of the leaf. But this leaf has lobes on it, little scallops, so we aren't going to go all the way to the edge. But we are going to angle it up towards the top of the leaf. We aren't going to go perpendicular to that leaf stem. There again, tip the tool and just go in each lobe of that leaf. You see what I've done? And hopefully you will see what I mean by angle it up towards the top of the leaf there. All right, now this leaf is only beveled on one side of that stem. Because that's just the way this leaf is. Okay, that's all the pear shading I'm going to do on this leaf. So now let's go to our fold overs. I'm going to do that with a fold over. Then I'm going to go on the underside. It's supposed to look like this is actually folded over and
like cupped underneath there.
And this part right in here is supposed to look like it's the underneath side of this.
We need to put it further to the background.
So yeah, so I'm going to use this pear shader and actually shade this out here. Now if you look at it, it almost looks like it's hollow underneath there. I'm going to work on that a little bit more.
Yeah, and then looking at kind of the completed one. Oh, show up. There we go.
Yeah.
We'll do some more decorative cups, it looks like, in there to style it up.
Anyway, now I'm going to do the same thing to this other fold over. And there are other tools to do this with, too.
Well, I was going to ask, why a pear shader instead of a thumbprint? I know the pear shader is more
Pear shader is more of an entry-level tool.
Okay.
A thumbprint it's more of a specialized tool. I mean, they're all specialized, but the thumbprint does this same job a little bit differently.
I see.
So, but we're going to use this pear shader because it is basic. If you can learn how to run a pear shader nicely, you can sure run a thumbprint. Okay. Now then, let me show you something here. This little feature right here and this one right here.
Oh, they look like they're little buds.
Yeah, they're flower buds, so I'm not going to do any pear shading on them.
Because buds are usually bulbous.
A bulbous bud, that's right.
I use that word right?
You did, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, good. Nobody's ever called me a bulbous before, so. I got you all tickled up now. You're unsure what to say.
We could go on and on with that.
It's funny, those little pieces of your leather have come. I don't know if you can see them bouncing, but I'm watching it up on screen, and you can see the little pieces of flecks of leather that have kind of come off when you swivel knifed or backgrounded. Yeah, let's see. Can I make it pop enough?
Oh yeah,
you see that
I'm seeing one. Yeah.
Yeah, see that little one jump around there?
Yeah, like a little bug. My wife would eat that.
Well, I mean, pass it over this way.
I forgot one.
If you haven't ever been to our website before, if you go to springfieldleather.com, it took a couple years for people to find this, Denny. So I go on, and when the reviews come into the website, we have to approve them, one, to make sure that nobody has used profanity or that they are relative to the product that they are actually supposed to be reviewing. A couple times people are just asking questions on the item. I was like, okay, well, I can ask your question, but I don't need to put that as a review. Anyway, leather dust. Leather dust, people have made a few comments on it talking about eating it. Oh, I mixed a little bit of salt and pepper, and they were talking about that. So one person did it, and then another person did it. So now there's like 3 or 4 that are on there.
Making leather dust soup.
Yeah, so I allowed them to be on there, and a customer finally found it and emailed it to us and go, your leather dust might need some help on the review section. I was like, I think it looks perfect.
All right. Next, I'm going to do something that I don't have on the list here, just because we've got the time and we've never done this, and I want to try this out.
You've never done this before?
No, I haven't. Not the way I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to use this pear shader, and I'm in the other ones. I used the camouflage tool to go around this flower center, but let's use this pear shader and see what happens. I've used a thumbprint lots of times doing this same thing, and it works out really well.
Yeah, can I get you to slide that way just a little bit?
Yeah. But I'm just going around the outside of this flower center, perpendicular to the flower center.
Yeah.
And I'm being pretty definite when I hit this thing, because I want to leave a nice dark burnish mark. All right. Now,
here,
where am I?
You're here in the studio.
There I am. Okay, see what I've done there?
Yeah, and it still goes kind of in a flow of a little bit of a circular.
Yeah. That doesn't look too good. Let me change that right there. All right. I'm happy now.
A pattern redesign. Right
okay.
there. A pear shade redesign.
Yes. Okay. Now we're going to use the camouflage tool. And I'm going to go just a little ways away from the flower center.
Oh,
just kind of.
You moved out of the spot. You moved out of our spotlight here. Okay.
Okay. I'm just going to go a little ways away from the flower center and just stutter this 2 or 3 times.
So you did it kind of outside of the pear shading.
Yeah.
Yeah, that we did there.
And that kind of fades that out also.
Yeah, for sure. Looks like it tucks into the center.
Right. But I'm going to do that on all these flower petals.
Let's see.
Yeah. Okay, see what we've got there. Now, let's take our flower center and reset that. Because we set it pretty lightly the first time, and if you will notice, I've swelled most of that back out. Oh, I'm not ready for that.
You better do a
now
veiner first.
I need to do the veiner, yes. This veiner, I'm going to go right up against that flower center, and I'm going to follow the edge of this flower petal, and I'm going to tip the tool. I'm not going to hit it flat. I'm going to tip it.
I wonder if we can turn like that and you can see.
I'm going to tip it like that.
Can I make you try to hit? Let's see, where are you at? Oh, now this one has to be.
Okay, this one?
No. Now you can do that one. There you go.
Am I still in a good spot?
Yeah. That's kind of tough to, whenever you're, I notice with you, you normally keep your tools where you can see it. And even when we had Jim Linnell here, he was talking about it. But he's done those classes that he does, and they have like a camera that projects it up there on the screen. Mm-hmm. So he said I had to retrain myself how to really tool and be able to tool to an audience with his camera set in kind of one spot. So we're kind of stuck in the same thing. So
and
sorry
I'm a slow learner too.
Oh, it's not the only thing about learning. It's not the only thing you're slow about.
All right, now I'm going to reset the flower center, but look what we did with that veiner.
Yeah.
See, we accentuated.
There you go. You're about to get there. You're learning.
Yeah, we accentuated those bevel lines that we did. Plus, we added a little bit of interest to it, you know.
Yeah, just in case you were interested.
Yeah, if you lost interest, maybe you gained it.
Maybe we've got it back for you.
Now,
sorry. Oh. You notice how you skipped there, but since you
I didn't hit it again.
Yeah, you thought about it, but you knew I was going to point it out again if you did.
Yeah. Okay, that flower center, the flower is done other than the finish cuts now.
Yeah. Besides the decorative cuts or
finish cuts.
Sorry, I don't know.
Decorative cuts, whatever you want to call them. Okay. Now let's go back to our veiner. Let's go to our leaf. In our leaf, when we did our pear shader on our leaf, we aimed it up towards the top of the leaf, and we're going to do the same thing with the pear shader. But we only beveled one side of this this leaf stem. I guess this is the stem or the center part of this leaf. But I'm going to go right up against that on the beveled side and aim it up towards the top of the leaf itself.
I wonder if they call it the vein.
Yeah, okay, a leaf vein.
We're going to vein the vein.
You're going to vein the vein, that's right.
Don't be so vain, leaf.
That's all I'm going to do to that.
That leaf probably thinks this tooling's about it. It's so vain.
It probably thinks.
That was that Carly Simon?
Yeah, probably thinks his tooling's about it. All right. Now I've got the leaf vein. Now let's go to our little flower buds. Remember them?
I do remember them.
And let's do something like this. I'll do them and then...
Oh, I see, yeah.
I'm going to go to the outside of each bud. And there again, it's going to be aimed towards the top of the bud.
Let's see, where were we? Oh, yeah.
If you can see that. See what I did? I think maybe I'll add one more. That's kind of plain right there. So, yeah, that finished it out.
So it looked like even for that, you're keeping in mind at the top of this bulb of where you want that veiner to be pointing to this way as it curls back.
Yeah, actually, I veined each side of that, and I made them oppose each other. And I made them on the outside of the outside of our cut line, actually, which makes it look like it's kind of rises up and kind of domes there.
Yeah, and I don't believe the other ones that we did had these bulbs on them.
Yeah, no. I think this is the first flower buds we've done.
Yeah, I'm going to try to zoom this overhead in while you...
Okay. Now I'm going to do this other little flower bud. the same way.
I have no idea how far I zoomed that in because I can't see it. But once you get down to the vein of that, we'll take a peek and see what's happened.
All right. Now our flower buds are both done. See, I got one here, one here.
Yeah. Let me see if I can zoom that in a little bit more.
Sure.
Sure.
That's good with me.
Look at that. It almost gets like the whole coaster in there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Nice.
Look at your work.
Now, let's use the veiner on this leaf or flower stem. I'm going to turn it around here where that's another thing I've probably not dwelled on too much on this, but when I use a tool, I always use a tool going away from myself.
Mm-hmm.
That way I can see where I've been. I know how far to move the tool. So I'm going to start down here. If you guys will remember on our other flower stems, I made an imaginary aim point. Imaginary, but real in this case. But
Literally.
if you're doing it yourself, you don't need to make that mark. Just keep in mind what you're trying to do.
Visualize that mark.
But I'm going to go right up against the flower petal and aim towards that mark. There again, I'm not holding this veiner flat. I'm tipping the veiner. And I'm not moving it very much at a time because I want them to be pretty close together. But I keep aiming towards that point. That way they just fan across there. Okay, now our little flower stem is done. And I think that's all the vein work we need to do. All right, now we're ready for our mule's foot. I'm going to use a mule's foot on this flower center. There again, I'm going to go away from myself so I can see how far I'm going. And the mule's foot is just what it implies. It's the shape of a little mule's foot. And when you're doing this, I'm going away from myself, and I always want the little mule to walk away from me. Toe first. So I'm going to start up towards the top of this flower stem. I'm going to go pretty close together. But each stroke that I do, I'm going to make a little bit lighter because I want them to fade out into nothing. See what I've done? See, each one was a bit lighter. Now I'm going to do the same thing on this leaf stem. I'm going to get right up against the top of the leaf stem. Just fade them out. All right. Now then, if we had a larger mule's foot, I could use it, or you could use a veiner to do this if you wanted to, and you don't have to do this at all. But where there's a lot of lines that come together, like this area right here, I'm going to just hopefully detract from just looking at all those lines and looking at these lines. See, I just kind of added a little embellishment there. I'm going to do the same thing over here where all these lines are coming together.
Interest. You created more interest.
Yeah. And it detracts from just all that conglomeration of stuff there. But I think that's all I'm going to do to that. Now let's go to our foldovers. And I'm just going to put a little crosshatch pattern on them very lightly. I'm not going to go very deep with this.
Yeah, before you do that other foldover, I'll see if I can get zoomed in a little bit more.
It shows fairly well.
Well, I want to zoom in as you make the cuts, maybe. Let me try that. Oh, there you go. I have big old details all over the screen. There we go.
All right, are we ready?
I hope so. What's it say on there? Has it got anything on there?
No.
Just a picture now? Okay.
That Arabic writing's all gone. Said Yokohama due west.
Yokohama due west.
All right. Now, like I said, I'm going to Just make a crosshatch pattern very lightly on here. You aren't trying to make a statement. You're just kind of adding a little texture to the underside of those fold overs.
Yeah. Let's see. Let me just go to the overhead camera. There you go.
Yeah, see, both of those fold overs, it just not quite so plain anymore. All right, let's do our finish cuts. And we're going to start with our flower petals. And I'm going to start right in the middle of each petal. Up at the top, I'm going to start very deep and immediately start to lighten up. Now I'm going to go to one side, just a little bit shorter. The main thing is the flow of your pattern. Everything goes towards that flower center. Everything starts deep. It ends up in a hairline. And nothing is ever straight. It's always on a little bit of a curve.
How's that looking? I get a decent shot set up there.
Yeah. Okay, can you see what I've done to the flower now?
That looks good.
Okay. Now, Tony really liked this on that other one, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to go back to my flower stem.
Oh,
Now
yeah.
I'm going to make a decorative cut right down the middle of those mule's foot marks. And do the same thing on the leaf stem. It just kind of adds a little bit to it.
Well, because now, like for me, you got the convergence of all the mule feet there, so you just add another line of direction.
There you go.
So
direction. That's a very artistic term.
Well,
I like it.
I'm glad I could bring something to the video today.
Okay. Now, let's go to our leaf. The other side of this leaf, we didn't do anything to with a vein, but let's do something to it with a swivel knife. Make a cut something like that.
A little old whirligig.
Yeah. Then let's go the opposite direction. Remember to feather all these cuts out. See what we have there? Okay. Let's go to our fold overs.
Top side of the fold over.
Yeah, the top side of the fold over. That's all I'm going to do to that one. Decorative cuts are something you can overdo easily. Just something like that is all you need on that.
A little bit goes a long way.
Yes. Okay. Now let's start with the inside of this, the inside of this circle, and do these chicken necks
Oh,
around.
you got your hand in the way that you're blocking you. That's perfect.
And there again, I'm following the direction, the center of this vine, which is going away from me.
I see you're taking my direction word now.
Yeah. Well, that's a good word, Tony. It's a good word.
Some would say it's a leading word.
A leading word, yes.
It's got good direction to it.
Okay. Now I'm going to go to all these outside chicken necks. And these, you can do anything you want to do with them.
Just don't do too much.
Don't do too much. That's right. Now I've got all those done, but I'm going to sit here and scrutinize this and see. I think I'm going to make a couple little marks here. And a couple right here.
Don't overdo it now.
okay, I'm going to quit as soon as I do this. I'm done. I'm done. And we are finished with this.
I'm gonna quit right after.
I'm going to quit right after I get done with all these other deals.
Very nice. Well, there you have it. Coaster number 3.
Number 3, yes.
Of part 4 in our series. That makes it confusing.
Yeah, well, that's the way we are.
Yeah.
That's the way we roll.
Just when you try to figure us out, we just go off in another. What is it, Denny? What do we go off
another direction?
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. You know, having a little bit quieter of a video when it's just us kind of hanging out ain't too bad.
That's not bad at all.
It ain't too bad at all. I still think we took an hour to get it done, though.
Yeah, probably. I don't know what time we started, but
I don't know.
It's almost 3 o'clock now.
It's almost 3 o'clock now.
You guys don't even know what day this is, so time is irrelevant to you.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I don't think
this could be next week.
I don't know when we did. I'll probably end up posting it next week. But so after we have these done, we may do another recorded video because I don't mind this. I don't mind it just kind of gabbing. We'll get Elizabeth back in here, and then maybe we'll just have 3 chickens sitting at a table cutting on this. Well, Denny, tell them how you would finish that anyway while I walk back to my computer.
Okay.
I guess I don't have to do that because I got control of it right here with my phone.
Okay, control this where we can see both pieces here.
Oh, okay. Well, let me see.
Up close and personal.
All right. There you are.
All right. Now, to get this color on this piece of leather, I would let this dry a little bit. And then I would put a light coat of neat's foot oil, olive oil, canola oil, oil of your choice.
Oil of Olay?
Oil of Olay. I don't know. I've never tried that.
Yeah. Have you tried motor oil? I know we talked about it. Have you ever tried it?
No.
Barbecue sauce?
No. Whipped cream either. I've never done that.
All right.
Or butter.
You haven't tried butter, yeah?
No. Butter might not be too bad,
Unsalted?
actually.
Unsalted?
Unsalted
Oh,
butter,
okay, yeah.
Of course. Of course. But anyway, a little bit of oil. Let that set for a few minutes. And then I would go over it with a resist of sorts. I would use Master's Quick Shine. It's what I've been using for several years, and it works very good for me. Then I would take either a antique gel or an antique paste and just slather this thing like you're spreading peanut butter on a sandwich. Make sure you get down in all the nooks and crannies. Then I take a piece of paper towel folded and wipe it off. I just wipe. I do not scrub. Wipe.
I know. I've been told before, don't scrub.
The thing is, if you start scrubbing and going in a circular motion and back and forth, you're going to dig all that stuff back out of those impressions, and that's where you want all your antiquing to stay. But anyway, wipe it till you don't have any streaks anymore. If your paper towel gets dirty, fold to a clean spot or throw it away and get another piece of paper towel. Mm-hmm. Main thing is get all the excess off. Then let that dry completely. Dry, dry, dry. You can use a hair dryer to help it. But it needs to be dry. And then go over it with another coat of sealer. And there again, I would use the Master's Quick Shine. That's what I've been using, and it works very well. And there you have it.
And if it gets too shiny for you, if you do that last coat of Quick Shine and it gets too shiny for you,
then just use some paste saddle soap on a piece of sheepskin or something and go over it, and it'll kind of dull it back. Mm-hmm. It won't really make it dull, but it'll look more like a wax finish as opposed to a plastic, high gloss finish.
Right.
If you like high gloss, leave it like that.
Do you need to just put one coat of Quick Shine? Could you do a couple coats of Quick Shine?
You can do a couple, just thin coats. Any kind of sealer that you use thin coats, and you can use 2 or 3, but make sure they're thin. You don't want a big, heavy buildup of the sealer on there, because that's when every time you bend it, it'll start to check and crack. And
so, say you use this as a coaster after you've used it for a while. Do you need to seal it again?
Oh, you could.
Yeah,
you could. It's a piece of leather. It's supposed to take on some character.
Yeah.
If you spill iced tea on it or something and it gets a stain, that's That's a character mark. That's the way I feel about it.
That's what I say about myself.
Yeah.
When I spill my lunch on me,
Yes,
I was like, I'm just building character. That's all.
Character.
Yeah,
right
that's not
there.
a mistake.
Yeah.
I'm just building character.
Yeah. You know, I mean, you can go over and refinish stuff as often as you want, I guess. You know?
Yeah, or
If
as
it-
little as you want.
Yeah, or as little as you want. But, you know, when I was building saddles, everybody would say, how often do I need to oil this saddle? And I said, once a year, or if you're out in a rainstorm, get it soaking wet. When it dries, give it a little bit of oil again. And the same way here, you know. Don't overdo it. If you want to do anything to it, use some paste saddle soap on it again.
You were talking about like different flowers that you would use different flowers if the piece was bigger. So let's talk about like a fender. On a fender, how many different flowers could you possibly use?
Oh.
You kind of use the same
however many flowers you can come up with. I'll tell you what. When I first went to Sheridan, Wyoming, I talked to a fellow who's dead and gone now, but a very fine saddle maker, Don Butler, and he was in Sheridan at the same time that Don King was, and Don King was still around when I was there too, and Butler said him and Don King had a contest one time, how many flowers they could put on a belt. How many flowers. And Don King would come by and throw a belt down there, and it had, I'm just pulling this off the top of my head, it had 20 flowers on it.
Yeah.
Butler would throw his down there, and it had 25. And finally, one time Don King came in, and it had this outrageous number, 75 flowers or something, I don't know. But Butler said, you win. I quit.
Yeah.
You can put as many as you've got room for.
Yeah.
It depends on how big they are, you know.
Yeah.
But,
best thing is, if you want to get better at it, you got to do it.
yeah. You guys, if you're taking this course over the air, you know, and you're all excited about it, and you do these coasters and then put your tools away, and 6 months later pick it up and say, man, I'm no better than I was to begin with.
Yeah.
Well, you're right.
You've only done it two
right.
times.
You've got to keep doing this, and you've got to kind of dedicate yourself to getting better at it if you want to get better at it.
Well, even if you did it one day and then you did it again the next day,
Sure.
it may be a little bit better, but
Sure.
You're not going to make leaps and bounds probably from on your second project. Give yourself a little bit of learning curve.
You know, I work, and some people are more acclimated. They're more suited to it than others. But hard work is the way that most people do it. I worked with a young guy in Cody when I was there, and he was young. He was 21 or 2 years old, but he was the finest tooler I think I've ever seen in my life. I mean, just beautiful. His name was Trajan, and I said, Trajan, how'd you get so good? He said, well, my dad had a saddle shop. And I said, oh, he taught you? And he said, no, he didn't tool. But he said, every little scrap of leather that I could find, I'd tool something on it. He said, that's all there was to it, you know.
Find something and do a project.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for us. That was the last of our 4 coasters that we have to tool. I think we'll do one more video of finishing them. I don't think that we'll finish them 4 different ways, but we might. Who knows? You'll have to tune in to find out. If you haven't done already, hit that bell for the notifications. Only 31% of our subscribers have hit the bell for notifications.
Oh my
We wonder
gosh.
why they don't show up.
How does this happen?
Come visit us here in Springfield.
Do it.
See ya.
Do it. Bye.